Ancient monuments hold celestial secrets we are only beginning to understand. This video explores 25 unexplained alignments where ancient builders encoded cosmic knowledge into stone with impossible precision. By the end, you will see a global pattern that challenges everything you thought you knew about early human history. We will journey from the Great Pyramid star shafts to Machu Picchu's solar clock, uncovering how these structures track solstices and star patterns. What common thread connects cultures separated by oceans and millennia? This science, known as archaeoastronomy, forms the bedrock of our entire exploration. It is the fascinating discipline that connects the dots between ancient stones and the stars above. By blending archaeology with astronomy, researchers can decipher how our ancestors perceived the cosmos and, more importantly, how they built their world in direct response to it. For these early cultures, tracking the sun's journey was not a hobby. It was a matter of survival. Knowing when to plant crops and when to harvest them depended on precise observations of solstices and equinoxes. Rituals and ceremonies were scheduled by the phases of the moon or the appearance of certain stars. This was a sophisticated, practical science, deeply woven into the fabric of daily life and spiritual belief. Pioneering figures like Alexander Thom, who meticulously surveyed thousands of megalithic sites across Europe, and Gerald Hawkins, who first applied computer analysis to Stonehenge, unlocked the initial patterns. They revealed that what we might see as simple piles of rock are, in fact, incredibly precise astronomical instruments. From the Babylonian skywatchers who mapped planetary movements to the Maya priests who created complex calendars measuring time over millennia, this celestial knowledge appears as a universal thread. Every culture, in its own way, looked up at the same sky and sought to build their understanding into the very ground beneath their feet. With this foundation in mind, the true marvel of these monuments begins to come into focus. The first rays of summer sunlight touch the ancient stones of Stonehenge with a precision that feels almost intentional, and that is because it is. In the quiet of an English dawn, as the longest day of the year begins, a profound alignment takes place. The sun ascends directly over the heel stone, a massive sentinel placed outside the main circle, and its light streams inward to strike the central altar. This is not a random occurrence. It is a feat of engineering and celestial observation, achieved over 4,500 years ago by a people we still struggle to fully comprehend. The entire structure, with its towering sarsen circle and the majestic inner horseshoe of trilithons, acts as a colossal stone frame for this solar event. It transforms a simple sunrise into a monumental spectacle. This alignment suggests a society deeply connected to the rhythms of the cosmos, one that likely used this site for ceremonies tied to the sun, the changing seasons, and the cycle of life itself. While scholars continue to discuss whether Stonehenge was a temple, a final resting place for revered individuals, or a sophisticated observatory, its purpose as a solar calendar is undeniable. It stands as a powerful testament to a forgotten age of astronomical genius, proving that the desire to mark our place in the universe is a human impulse as old as time. Far to the south, under a different canopy of stars, another ancient wonder whispers a cosmic secret. The Great Pyramid of Giza stands as a silent giant on the edge of the desert, its limestone casing long gone but its celestial purpose still etched in stone. Deep within the king's chamber, narrow shafts, barely wide enough for a person to crawl through, climb upward through millions of stone blocks. For centuries, their function was a complete mystery. Why would builders go to such incredible effort to construct these precise tunnels within such a massive structure? The answer, it seems, was written in the stars. Researchers like Robert Bovell proposed a stunning connection. Around 2500 BCE, these air shafts were not for ventilation but for stargazing. One shaft pointed directly toward the star Al-Nitak, the brightest star in Orion's belt. In ancient Egyptian belief, the constellation of Orion was no mere pattern of lights. It was directly associated with Osiris, the god of the afterlife and rebirth. The three pyramids of Giza, when viewed from above, appear to be laid out in a pattern that mirrors the three stars of Orion's belt with astonishing accuracy. This idea, known as the Orion correlation theory, suggests the entire Giza plateau is a massive mirror of the heavens, a permanent map of the stars built here on Earth. The precision required to align these shafts to a specific star at a specific point in time implies the Egyptians possessed a deep and sophisticated understanding of astronomy. This was not just about marking the seasons, it was about guiding the soul of the pharaoh. The belief was that upon his passing, the king's spirit would travel up through these stone channels directly to the stars of Osiris to be reborn and live eternally among the gods. How a civilization without telescopes or advanced mathematics could achieve such a perfect alignment remains one of history's most compelling puzzles. It points to a lost science, a forgotten method of observing and recording the cosmos that we are still struggling to comprehend. This celestial blueprint transforms the pyramid from a simple tomb into a cosmic launchpad, a machine built of stone to propel a human soul into the heavens. While the pyramids pointed souls toward the stars, another ancient structure harnessed the sun for a different kind of journey. In the rolling green hills of Ireland stands Newgrange, a massive circular mound that predates both Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids by centuries. This 5,200-year-old monument is a tomb, but its true wonder is revealed for just a few precious minutes each year. At dawn on the winter solstice, the shortest and darkest day, something magical happens. The rising sun aligns perfectly with a specially constructed opening above the entrance, known as a roof box. A single, narrow beam of light pierces the morning gloom and travels down a 60-foot-long stone passageway. It moves slowly, deliberately, until it floods the central chamber deep within the mound with a brilliant golden light. This event lasts for approximately 17 minutes before the chamber returns to darkness for another full year. The precision of this alignment is breathtaking. It transforms a place of final rest into a theater of cosmic rebirth. For the Neolithic people who built it, this was a powerful symbol. At the year's darkest point, the sun itself was reborn, and its light was invited into the realm of the ancestors. This was not a random architectural feature. It was a deliberate, engineered connection between the cycles of the cosmos, the passage of the seasons, and the human journey. How did a society using only stone tools calculate the solar year and construct a light box with such accuracy? They encoded a profound understanding into the very landscape, creating a celestial clock that has ticked faithfully for over 5 millennia. This blending of death and renewal, of stone and light, speaks to a universal human longing to find meaning in the great cycles of nature and to believe in a return of the light after the longest night. Across the Atlantic, another civilization was mastering the celestial dance with equal brilliance. In the heart of the Yucatan jungle, the Maya Pyramid of El Castillo stands as a silent testament to this genius. Its true magic is revealed only twice a year during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As the sun begins to set on these 2 days of perfect balance, light and shadow perform an ancient ritual. The stepped corners of the pyramid cast a series of triangular shadows down the grand northern staircase. These shadows connect with the massive stone serpent heads at the base, creating a stunning optical illusion of a diamond-backed serpent body slithering down from the heavens to the earth. This is the descent of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god who brought knowledge, culture, and the promise of life giving reign to the Maya people. This was not a hidden secret, but a grand public spectacle. The entire community would gather to witness this divine manifestation, a powerful reinforcement of their connection to the cosmos and the gods who controlled their harvests. The architectural precision required to achieve this effect is staggering. Each of the pyramid's 4 sides has 91 steps. When you add the single platform at the summit, you reach a total of 365, one for each day of the solar year. This was a public calendar carved in stone, a constant reminder of the passage of time and the turning of the seasons. How did the Maya, without modern tools, align a structure of this scale to capture light with such theatrical perfection? It shows a society that did not merely observe the sky, but actively wove its movements into their architecture, their religion, and their very identity. This fusion of science and spirituality created a living monument, one that continues to breathe with the rhythm of the cosmos thousands of years after its builders passed into history. High in the thin air of the Peruvian Andes, the lost city of Machu Picchu clings to a mountain ridge, a masterpiece of stone integrated perfectly with the sky. At its heart lies the Intihuatana stone, a granite pillar carved with impossible precision. This was no ordinary rock. Its name translates to the hitching post of the sun, and it served as the city's ultimate celestial clock. During the equinoxes, at the exact moment of solar noon, this intricately shaped stone casts absolutely no shadow. It is a perfect, silent alignment with the sun at its zenith. But its most critical role came during the June solstice, the start of the sun's retreat back south. The Incas believed that on this day, they needed to symbolically tether the sun to the earth to prevent it from moving farther away and taking its life-giving energy with it. The Intihuatana was that anchor, a ritual device designed to secure agricultural fertility and cosmic order. This profound understanding of astronomy was woven into the very fabric of the city. Temples and carefully placed windows were oriented to capture the first or last rays of the sun on specific, significant dates, turning the entire settlement into a vast solar observatory. This was not just about tracking time, it was about demonstrating a sacred, harmonious relationship between the earth and the sky, a principle that guided the Inca Empire's spiritual practices and justified its expansion. The placement of every stone was a statement of belief that humanity could live in direct, intentional dialogue with the cosmos. How did they achieve such perfect alignments on these treacherous mountain slopes? And what does it say about a culture that built its entire world around this celestial connection? The desert sun sets over Thebes in a blaze of orange and gold, precisely as it has for millennia. In that fleeting moment, the entire temple of Karnak becomes a cosmic instrument. Its main gateway, a series of towering stone pylons stretching for hundreds of feet, aligns perfectly with the descending sun on the summer solstice. A final, brilliant beam of light travels down the central axis, piercing the deepening shadows to illuminate the innermost sanctuary. This was the Holy of Holies, the dwelling place of the god Amun-Ra, the king of the gods. For the ancient Egyptians, this was not a coincidence. It was a divine appointment, a visible demonstration that the pharaoh, the son of Ra, held the direct favor of the sun god himself. This alignment, achieved through 2,000 years of continuous construction, was the ultimate fusion of political power, spiritual belief, and celestial science. Each massive pylon and every towering obelisk was placed to frame the sun's sacred path, turning the entire temple complex into a stage for a yearly solar ritual. The dramatic effect during ceremonies would have been overwhelming, a powerful sensory experience reinforcing the cosmic order. How do you plan a project that takes generations to complete, ensuring that the final alignment remains perfect? This was not the work of a single lifetime, but a shared vision passed down through countless rulers and priests. It speaks to a civilization so confident in its understanding of the universe that it could commit to a celestial blueprint spanning centuries. The Temple of Karnak stands as a monument to this long-term astronomical commitment, where the heavens were used to legitimize authority on Earth, binding the fate of the kingdom to the eternal, predictable cycles of the sun. Deep in the Cambodian jungle, the sprawling stone complex of Angkor Wat holds a secret written not just in its walls, but in the stars above. While most Hindu temples face east toward the rising sun, this monumental structure points west, a choice that has puzzled researchers for generations. The reason for this unique orientation may lie in the heavens, specifically with the constellation Draco, the dragon. Advanced lidar scans and computer simulations have revealed a stunning correlation. Around the year 1150, when the temple was constructed, the layout of Angkor Wat's 5 central towers matches the precise pattern of the stars in the dragon's head. This is no random overlap. It is a deliberate act of celestial mirroring, connecting the earthly realm directly to the cosmic one. The constellation Draco played a pivotal role in the Hindu myth of the churning of the ocean of milk, a foundational story for the Khmer Empire. In this epic tale, the gods and demons used the serpent king, Vasuki, wrapped around a mountain to churn the cosmic ocean and obtain the elixir of immortality. By mapping the dragon constellation onto their greatest temple, the builders were permanently etching this creation story into the landscape. The unusual westward orientation is now thought by many scholars to be linked to the temple's possible role as a grand funerary monument for King Suryavarman II, transforming it into a symbolic vessel for his journey into the afterlife, forever connected to the eternal stars. This alignment reveals a civilization that saw no separation between urban planning, spiritual belief, and astronomical observation. The entire city was designed as a microcosm of the universe, a sacred landscape where every temple, reservoir, and road was placed in conscious relationship with the celestial order. How did the Khmer architects achieve such a perfect stellar blueprint? And what does it say about a culture that built its identity around mirroring the heavens here on Earth? Yet another civilization achieved a similar celestial feat with far simpler tools. In the stark, high desert of New Mexico, the ancestral Pueblones turned an entire rock formation into a precise astronomical instrument. High atop Fajoda Butte in Chaco Canyon, 3 massive, carefully positioned stone slabs stand before a shaded cliff face. On this vertical canvas, a spiral petroglyph is carved into the rock. For most of the year, it sits in quiet shadow, but on the days of the solstices and equinoxes, something extraordinary occurs. As the sun climbs to its zenith, narrow slivers of light slip between the 3 giant slabs. These beams transform into sharp, brilliant daggers of sunlight that march directly across the center of the spiral. On the summer solstice, a single dagger pierces the very heart of the carving. On the winter solstice, 2 perfect blades of light bracket the spiral on either side. This was not a random act of nature. It was a deliberately engineered celestial calendar created around the year 1000 CE. In this arid landscape, where survival depended on knowing exactly when to plant and when to harvest, the sun dagger provided an unerring, public signal of the changing seasons. Its purpose was deeply practical, a matter of communal well-being tied directly to the sun's journey, but its genius extends even further. Researchers discovered that this same site also tracks the complex 18.6-year cycle of the moon. This lunar cycle, known as the lunar standstill, marks the slow, gradual shift in the moon's rising and setting points on the horizon. The fact that the ancestral Puebloans encoded this long-term lunar rhythm into their sun, Dagger, reveals a breathtaking depth of astronomical knowledge. They were not just watching the sun, they were master observers of the entire sky, understanding the intricate dance between our two greatest luminaries. How did a people without written records or metal tools design such a perfect and multifaceted observatory? The Sun Dagger of Chaco Canyon stands as a profound statement, a testament to the universal human drive to read the cosmos, to mark our time by its grand cycles, and to find meaning in the silent, predictable movements of the heavens above. The precision of Chaco Canyon gives way to another mystery, this one emerging from the heart of the Mediterranean Sea. On the small island of Malta, a complex of stone temples known as Mnajdra holds a secret more than 5,600 years old. Constructed around 3,600 BC, these megalithic structures predate even the Great Pyramid of Giza by centuries. Their low, curved walls, built from massive limestone blocks, form a series of interconnected chambers that feel both ancient and deeply purposeful. The true genius of these temples is revealed not by their size but by their orientation. The main doorway of the lower temple is aligned with such incredible accuracy that on the spring and autumn equinoxes, the very first rays of the rising sun pass directly through this stone threshold. A narrow beam of light travels into the inner darkness, striking a specific altar stone deep within the central apse. This is not a vague wash of illumination. It is a targeted, deliberate spotlight, a celestial event captured in architecture. For a society that depended on farming, tracking the equinoxes was essential. These are the 2 days of the year when day and night are of equal length, pivotal moments for planting and harvest. The alignment would have served as a flawless, natural calendar, marking the time to begin crucial agricultural work. But the purpose likely went far beyond the practical. As the light moves through the temple, it interacts with intricate spirals carved into the stone, creating dramatic plays of light and shadow. Researchers suggest these illuminated altars may have been central to ceremonies, perhaps linked to fertility rites that celebrated the land's renewal and the promise of new life. This fusion of astronomy, architecture, and spirituality points to a sophisticated society with a shared, advanced knowledge. They understood the sun's path with such clarity that they could encode it into stone, creating a permanent, interactive link between their rituals and the cosmos. How did this Neolithic culture, isolated on a small island, develop such precise astronomical understanding? The Mnajdra temples stand as a silent, powerful testament to a universal human quest, a desire to build our sacred spaces in direct conversation with the turning of the heavens. Perched high on the Acropolis, the Parthenon's marble columns have watched over Athens for nearly 2,500 years. While its beauty is undeniable, a deeper alignment lies hidden within its perfect proportions. This temple, dedicated to the goddess Athena, was engineered with a precise orientation toward the dawn. On a specific morning each year, the first light would have coincided with the heliacal rising of the Pleiades star cluster. This celestial event, when the star group becomes visible just before sunrise after a period of invisibility, was a critical marker for the ancient Greeks. It signaled the start of the safe sailing season, when merchants could confidently set out across the Mediterranean, and it heralded the beginning of the agricultural year, a time for planting and preparation. The appearance of these stars was not merely noted, it was celebrated with festivals and woven into the civic calendar, directly linking the rhythm of the heavens to the pulse of city life. By embedding this astronomical event into the very fabric of their greatest temple, the Athenians were doing more than honoring a goddess. They were solidifying a worldview where the practical and the divine were inseparable. The Parthenon was a declaration that their prosperity, their safety, and their very identity were guided by the stars. How did they achieve such an exact architectural alignment to a star cluster? And what does it say about a society that built its most enduring symbol not just for the people, but for the cosmos itself? This integration of celestial timing into stone reveals a civilization that saw the sky not as a distant mystery, but as an active participant in human affairs, a clock and a compass by which they navigated their world. A city lies silent under the Mexican sun, its grand avenues empty for over 1,000 years, yet the celestial clockwork it was built to observe continues to run with perfect precision. At Teotihuacan, the immense pyramid of the sun and the elegant pyramid of the moon are connected by a vast ceremonial causeway known as the Street of the Dead. This central axis is not aligned to true north or south, but to a specific point on the western horizon, the precise location where the Pleiades star cluster sets. Why would an entire metropolis be oriented toward a tiny group of stars? The answer is found not in the city's layout, but in the sky directly above it. Around the year 150 CE, when Teotihuacan was at its peak, the Pleiades passed directly overhead at zenith. This astronomical event was far more than a beautiful spectacle. It was the most important signal of the year. Its zenith passage coincided with the beginning of the rainy season, the moment when the land was ready to receive the life-giving seeds of maize. For the people of Teotihuacan, the maize god was central to their existence, and the Pleiades were his celestial herald. The entire urban plan, from the grandest pyramid to the humblest residence, was a physical manifestation of this cosmic relationship. The city was built as a mirror of the heavens, ensuring that the rhythms of the sky were reflected in the daily life and spiritual practices of its inhabitants. How did they achieve such a perfect alignment, constructing a city that functioned as a giant astronomical instrument? This was a society that did not simply watch the stars, they lived by them, embedding their deepest understanding of the cosmos into the very ground beneath their feet, creating a permanent bond between the earth and the sky that governed their survival and shaped their world. The moon's slow dance across the sky holds a secret written in stone on the coast of Brittany. Here, the Karnak alignments stand as one of the world's most breathtaking megalithic puzzles. Thousands of individual standing stones, erected over 6,500 years ago, march in perfectly straight rows for kilometers across the landscape. For centuries, their purpose was a matter of pure speculation. Were they a marching army turned to stone by a wizard, as local legend claimed, or perhaps a vast cemetery? The true answer, however, is written not in the earth but in the heavens above. These stones do not point toward the sun. Instead, their long, parallel avenues align with the extreme rising and setting points of the moon during its most dramatic cycle. Every 18.6 years, the moon reaches what is known as a major lunar standstill, a point where it appears to pause at the very edge of its travel path on the horizon before slowly reversing course. The builders of Karnak encoded this long, slow rhythm into the land itself. Imagine a priest or astronomer walking these stone avenues, watching the moon rise between specific pillars, and knowing exactly where it would appear years, even decades into the future. This knowledge was power. By understanding this cycle, they could predict lunar eclipses, events that would have seemed like moments of profound cosmic imbalance. This was not merely an observatory, it was a colossal stone calculator. The sheer scale of the undertaking reveals a society with a shared, sophisticated astronomical tradition, one capable of organizing labor across generations to map the moon's most complex behavior onto the landscape. Why would a Neolithic culture invest such immense effort in tracking the moon? For them, the moon governed the tides, influenced planting cycles, and held deep spiritual significance. It was a celestial force of change and renewal. By building Karnak, they were attempting to harness its predictive power, to bring order to the cosmos and integrate its timeless rhythms into the very heart of their ritual and daily life. From the organized rows of Karnak, we journey to a landscape where art and astronomy merge on an almost unimaginable scale. Etched into the stark, arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca lines form a vast canvas of geometric precision. Created over a 1,000-year period, these enormous geoglyphs include straight lines that run for miles across the desert floor, perfectly arrow-straight despite the rugged terrain. For decades, their purpose was one of archaeology's greatest enigmas. Were they landing strips for ancient astronauts, or perhaps sacred pathways for ceremonial processions? The work of researcher Maria Reich, who dedicated her life to studying the lines, pointed to a more celestial answer. She proposed that many of these long, straight tracks were aligned with the rising and setting points of the sun, the moon, and key stars during the solstices and equinoxes. In an environment where water was life and rainfall was scarce, tracking these celestial events with precision was not a philosophical exercise, it was a matter of survival. This giant astronomical calendar laid out across the desert would have told the Nazca people exactly when seasonal rivers might flow and when to plant their crops, turning the entire plateau into a practical tool for water management and agriculture. But the purpose likely went far beyond the practical. The famous animal figures like the spider, the monkey, and the hummingbird are so large they can only be seen in their entirety from high above. Some researchers suggest these intricate designs may themselves be representations of constellations, weaving their mythology directly into the land. This transforms the desert from a simple observatory into a sacred map of the cosmos. Walking these lines during specific celestial alignments could have been a profound ritual act, a way for the community to physically traverse a spiritual landscape, appealing to the gods for fertility and maintaining harmony between the earth and the sky. How did they achieve such perfect alignments over such vast distances without the ability to fly? The Nazca lines remain a powerful, silent testament to a culture that did not just observe the heavens, but drew their meaning directly onto the earth, creating a permanent dialogue between humanity, art, and the cosmos. Deep within the humid jungle of Palenque, the Temple of the Sun stands as a stone prayer to the cosmos. Constructed around 700 CE, this pyramid is not merely a monument but a meticulously engineered device designed to capture a singular, dramatic moment. Each year, as the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky on the winter solstice, its final, fading rays align perfectly with the temple's main doorway. This is no ordinary sunset. The light travels on a precise path into the inner sanctuary, where it illuminates a stunning stone relief carved into the back wall. The scene depicts the sun god himself, embarking on his perilous nightly journey through the underworld. For the Maya, the winter solstice was not an end but a critical turning point. It was the moment the sun paused at the edge of its journey south, a symbolic death before its promised rebirth and the slow return of longer days. The temple's alignment transformed this celestial event into a tangible, visible drama. As the light fell upon the carved gods and symbols, it was as if the sun god was being reanimated by the sun's own power, a divine confirmation of the endless cycle of death and renewal. This was a masterful fusion of astronomy and mythology, where the movement of a star was directly linked to the fate of the gods. The priests of Palenque used this architectural precision not just to observe, but to predict. By understanding this solstice alignment, they could forecast other celestial events, solidifying their role as the crucial intermediaries between the people and the cosmos. Their ability to command this celestial knowledge, to literally bring the sun god to life within the temple walls, served to reinforce the king's own divine authority, presenting him as an essential part of a cosmic order that repeated itself with every passing year. This was a civilization that built portals, spaces where the boundary between the earthly and the spiritual realms grew thin, all guided by the unwavering rhythm of the heavens. While the Maya carved their cosmic beliefs into temple walls, an empire on the other side of the world was etching its celestial observations onto bone. In the heart of the Shang dynasty, around 1200 BCE, royal diviners would press hot bronze rods into the shoulder bones of oxen or the plastrons of turtles. The cracks that appeared were not random. They were read as divine messages, answers from the ancestors about war, harvests, and the emperor's health. But alongside these questions, the bones themselves were often inscribed with meticulous records of celestial events. Eclipses, comets, and the movements of planets were carefully documented, creating the world's oldest surviving astronomical archive. This practice reveals a civilization that saw the sky as a direct line of communication with the divine, where the emperor's right to rule, known as the mandate of heaven, depended entirely on maintaining harmony with the cosmic order. A celestial disruption like an unexpected eclipse was not just a scientific curiosity, it was a potential sign that the emperor had lost the favor of the heavens. This profound belief in a sky-earth connection was then built into the very foundations of power. Shang dynasty palaces were not placed arbitrarily. They were precisely aligned to celestial phenomena, most notably the pole star, which was seen as the unmoving center of the universe, the celestial counterpart to the emperor's supreme authority on Earth. This tradition of cosmic architecture did not end with the Shang. It was carried forward for millennia, reaching its ultimate expression in the Forbidden City. Constructed much later, this immense palace complex is a masterwork of celestial alignment. Its main gates are oriented to frame the solstice sunrises, ensuring that the emperor's residence was in perfect sync with the solar cycle. Every year, the sun would ritually affirm his mandate by rising and setting along the sacred axis of his capital. This was astronomy as statecraft. The movements of the stars and planets, first recorded on fragile oracle bones, were used to guide monumental decisions from when to plant crops to when to go to war. How did this system of celestial validation shape one of the world's longest-lasting civilizations? It created a culture where observing the heavens was not merely a science, but a sacred duty, a way of ensuring that the human world remained a faithful reflection of the perfect, predictable order of the cosmos above. Far beneath the sunlit island of Malta, a different kind of temple holds its breath in the dark. The Hypogeum of Ħal Saflieni is a labyrinth carved entirely from solid limestone, a sprawling underground city of the deceased constructed over 5,000 years ago. For most of the year, its deepest chambers are shrouded in a profound, silent blackness, a realm dedicated to the ancestors. But on the days of the equinox, this subterranean world undergoes a miraculous transformation. At a precise moment, a narrow beam of sunlight finds its way through an upper opening, a channel carved with impossible accuracy. This sliver of light travels downward, defying the darkness, piercing level after level until it reaches a specific room known as the Oracle Chamber. There, it illuminates a small, carved niche with a sudden, brilliant spotlight. In the absolute quiet of the tomb, this event would have been breathtaking, a dramatic play of light engineered to perfection. Why would a burial complex, a place of final rest, be designed to capture the sun's light on the 2 days of perfect balance between day and night? This was no accident of construction. It was a profound statement of belief. For the Neolithic people who built it, the sun's power was not limited to the world above. They believed its life-giving energy could penetrate even the underworld, creating a bridge between the realm of the living and the domain of the dead. The illuminated oracle room was likely the heart of powerful rituals, where the community gathered to witness this celestial miracle. The dramatic lighting of the chamber would have symbolized a spiritual rebirth, a promise that the sun's return could bring renewal even to those who had passed on. This alignment reveals a society that saw death not as an end, but as part of a continuous cosmic cycle, intimately connected to the sun's eternal journey. How did they calculate the exact angle needed to channel light so deep into the earth? And what does it say about a culture that went to such lengths to unite the darkness of the tomb with the brilliance of the heavens? The Hypogeum stands as a stunning testament to this ancient belief, a place where architecture, astronomy, and spirituality converge to create a timeless dialogue between light and shadow, life and what lies beyond. High on a remote Wyoming mountain, the Bighorn Medicine Wheel rests against the sky like a stone blueprint of the cosmos. Constructed by Plains Indians around 700 years ago, this sacred circle of stones, with its 28 spokes radiating from a central cairn, is far more than a geometric pattern. It is a sophisticated celestial calendar built into the earth. At dawn on the summer solstice, a solitary observer standing at the central cairn would watch the sun rise in perfect alignment with one specific outer stone. As the day progresses, the sun's arc across the sky is tracked by the wheel's geometry, and at sunset, it descends directly over another carefully placed stone marker. This precise alignment with the sun's longest journey was not its only function. Other stone spokes point unerringly toward the rising points of brilliant stars like Sirius, the Dog Star, and Aldebaran, the red eye of the bull in the constellation Taurus. For the nomadic tribes who used this site, these stellar events were not abstract observations. The heliacal rising of Sirius, appearing just before the sun in the morning sky, often coincided with the peak of summer, a critical time for communal gatherings. The appearance of Aldebaran could signal the coming autumn and the preparation for seasonal hunts. This was astronomy woven directly into the fabric of survival. The wheel served as a ceremonial ground for vision quests, where individuals sought spiritual guidance and personal revelation under the vast, star-filled sky. It was a place where the community aligned its rituals with the heavens, affirming a profound belief that human life was a direct reflection of celestial order. The genius of the design lies in its elegant simplicity and portability. While the wheel itself is fixed, the knowledge it encoded was not. This star lore was carried in stories and songs, allowing nomadic bands to create similar observatories anywhere on the Great Plains, using piles of stone to mark the sun and stars on their own sacred hills. How did a culture constantly on the move develop such a precise and enduring relationship with the sky? It reveals a world view where the land itself was a living temple, and the heavens were a map, a clock, and a spiritual guide, all rolled into one. This stone wheel on a lonely peak stands as a powerful reminder that you do not need towering pyramids to converse with the cosmos, only the wisdom to read the signs written in the sun and the stars. The Maya lowlands hold the ruins of a celestial calendar built not from paper but from stone. Scattered across the ancient landscape, a specific architectural form repeats with striking consistency, the E-group complex. At its heart are two primary structures, a tall western pyramid facing a long, low platform to the east. From 1,000 years before the Common Era, these complexes served as the civilization's most reliable solar observatories. The most famous example at the site of Uaxacton demonstrates the system's elegant precision. From the summit of the pyramid, a priest astronomer would watch the horizon. On the morning of the spring equinox, the sun would rise directly over the center of the long platform. On the summer solstice, it would appear at the platform's northern corner, and on the winter solstice at its southern extreme. This simple yet brilliant arrangement transformed the entire horizon into a giant, calibrated dial. By marking these 4 pivotal points, the Maya could define the solar year with absolute accuracy, knowing exactly when the rains would come and when to plant their vital maize crops. This was not a secret science locked away in a temple. It was a public spectacle. The entire community would gather to witness these sunrise ceremonies, watching as the sun god affirmed the priest's predictions. The correct alignment was a powerful demonstration of the ruler's and the priesthood's special connection to the cosmos, reinforcing the social order and their divine right to lead. The sheer number of these E-group complexes, found at major sites across the Maya world, points to a standardized, institutionalized knowledge. It was a shared astronomical practice that unified their civilization, a common language of timekeeping carved into the earth itself. This architectural pattern reveals a society that did not just observe the sun. It built a permanent, interactive relationship with it, creating a stable foundation upon which their entire world, from farm to festival, could flourish in harmony with the heavens. The desert sands of Mesopotamia conceal the foundations of civilization itself, and rising from them, the ziggurat of Ur stands as a testament to humanity's first formal dialogue with the night sky. Constructed around 2,100 years before the Common Era, this massive stepped pyramid was not merely a temple, it was a direct conduit to the moon god Nana. The entire structure was precisely oriented to the path of the moon, its stairways and terraces serving as a monumental stage for the lunar phases. From its summit, priest astronomers meticulously tracked the moon's journey from a slender crescent to a brilliant full disk and back again. This was not abstract stargazing, it was the very engine of society. Their observations produced the world's first reliable lunar calendars, which dictated the optimal times for planting and harvesting barley, the region's lifeblood, and scheduled the grand religious festivals that unified the community. The city of Ur lived and breathed by this celestial rhythm, its identity and prosperity bound to the belief that they were under the direct, watchful protection of Nana. This was the cradle where writing and astronomy first flourished together, with clay tablets recording celestial events alongside epic poetry and legal codes. The ziggurat itself was the physical manifestation of this union, a sacred machine where worship and practical timekeeping were seamlessly blended. How did these early pioneers at the dawn of recorded history achieve such precise alignments and develop a system that would influence empires for millennia? It reveals a foundational human impulse to build our greatest structures not just for ourselves, but as bridges to the cosmos, ensuring that the rhythms of the heavens were forever echoed in the daily life of the city below. Even a conqueror who believed himself a god sought answers at the Temple of Ammon in the Siwa oasis. Alexander the Great made a perilous desert journey to this remote sanctuary, desperate for a prophecy that would affirm his divine right to rule. The temple, built around 600 years before his visit, was no random haven. Its doorway was precisely oriented to capture the rising sun on dates sacred to the god Ammon, transforming a solar event into a celestial omen. When the first light of dawn streamed through that portal on a festival day, it illuminated the inner sanctum with a timing that felt anything but accidental. For the priests who served the oracle, this was a powerful tool. They could stage their rituals to coincide with these moments of solar alignment, using the sudden, brilliant light to create an awe-inspiring spectacle for visitors. A supplicant standing in the dim chamber would witness the sun itself seemingly anointing the shrine, a visceral sign that the god was present, and that the oracle's ensuing words carried the full weight of heaven's authority. This was astronomy in the service of prophecy. By weaving celestial precision into their sacred architecture, the priests of Siwa elevated their pronouncements from mere guesswork to divine revelation. The alignment lent an unshakable credibility to their visions, whether they concerned the fate of empires or the hopes of common pilgrims. In this distant oasis, the predictable path of the sun became the unpredictable voice of a god, intertwining human destiny with the cosmos in a way that drew seekers from across the known world. How many critical decisions, how many shifts in history were set in motion by prophecies delivered under that deliberately aligned celestial light? The Great Sphinx of Giza holds its eastward gaze with an eternal patience. On the mornings of the spring and autumn equinox, that patience is rewarded with a spectacle. The sun ascends from the horizon in perfect alignment with the Sphinx's massive shoulders, rising directly between the two great pyramids that stand behind it. This is not a random sunrise. It is a deliberate, symbolic rebirth of the sun god Ra, an event that dates back to around 2,500 years before the Common Era. For the ancient Egyptians, the equinox was a moment of perfect cosmic balance when day and night were of equal length, reflecting their core principle of Mat, the universal order of truth and harmony. The Sphinx, facing due east to capture this precise moment, becomes a monumental representation of this balance. It transforms the statue from a simple guardian of the plateau into an active participant in a celestial ritual. The lion's body, a symbol of strength and power combined with the head of a pharaoh, visually declared the king's role as the earthly embodiment of the sun god. His gaze, fixed on the reborn sun, reinforced his divine authority and his responsibility to maintain cosmic order for the entire kingdom. This alignment integrates the Sphinx into the grand celestial plan of the Giza complex, linking it inextricably with the star shafts of the Great Pyramid and the solar alignments of the surrounding temples. Some researchers have proposed an even more profound connection, suggesting the Sphinx was built to mark the age of Leo, a 2,160-year period in the Great Precessional Cycle when the constellation Leo appeared on the vernal equinox horizon. If true, this would mean the monument was not just a guardian of the pharaoh's tomb, but a guardian of time itself, its stone form encoding a knowledge of the slow, 26,000-year wobble of the Earth's axis. Whether marking an age or affirming a daily renewal, the Sphinx's equinox alignment embodies the eternal cycle of the sun and the promised stability of a kingdom ruled under heavenly guidance. The mystery of its full purpose continues to inspire intense debate, a silent stone riddle whose answer may still be written in the stars. Deep within the jungle, the Temple of the Inscriptions holds a secret tied not to sunrise or sunset, but to the sun's highest point in the sky. This is the story of the zenith sun, a day when the sun passes directly overhead and vertical objects cast absolutely no shadow. Around the year 683, the temple's construction created a precise alignment with this powerful celestial event. The entire structure was designed as the final resting place for the great Maya king Palenque. His elaborate tomb chamber lies at the base of a hidden interior stairway, deep within the pyramid's heart. On the day of the zenith passage, the sun's position allowed its light to penetrate the temple's upper levels, illuminating this long, ceremonial stairway that leads down to the king's sarcophagus. This was far more than a simple beam of light. For the Maya, the zenith sun represented the sun at its peak strength, a moment of immense power. Its alignment with the temple created a symbolic pathway, connecting the king's descent into the underworld with the sun's own journey at its most potent. It was as if the sun itself was escorting Palenque on his final voyage, transforming his passing from an end into a celestial transition. The dramatic illumination of the interior during this event would have been a breathtaking spectacle for participating priests, a visible sign that their ruler was not merely being buried, but was being reborn as a divine being who would take his place among the stars. This architectural feat required an incredibly sophisticated understanding of the solar cycle. The Maya had to track the sun's slow migration north and south to pinpoint the exact 2 days of the year when it would stand directly over Palenque. By encoding this precise solar event into the temple's very orientation, they eternalized their king's legacy. The temple became a perpetual monument, not just to a man, but to a cosmic truth, that their rulers held the divine right to transcend death and join the eternal cycles of the heavens. How did they achieve such accuracy, and what does this say about a culture that saw architecture as a bridge between the mortal world and the realm of the gods? On the wind-swept Isle of Lewis, the Callanish stones stand as a stark, beautiful puzzle against the sky. Erected over 5,000 years ago, these ancient monoliths form a unique cruciform pattern, a stone cross whose arms reach out to embrace the most dramatic moments of the lunar cycle. While many stone circles track the sun, the true genius of Callanish is its deep, abiding relationship with the moon. Every 18.6 years, the moon reaches the peak of its long, slow dance, a phase known as the major lunar standstill. At this time, the moon does not simply rise and set. It appears to pause at the very edge of its traveled path on the southern horizon before slowly reversing its course. The architecture of Callanish is a precise instrument for observing this celestial event. The central stone circle and its long, processional avenue are aligned to frame the moon's southernmost rising point, a spectacle that would have seen the silvery disk of the full moon appear to skim the horizon, perfectly cradled by the towering stones. For a Neolithic community living so far north where winter nights are long and dark, the moon was not a secondary light. It was a dominant, ever-changing presence in the sky, a celestial force governing the rhythms of life. Its cycles were inextricably linked to the tides, to the growth of plants, and to the mysterious processes of birth and decay. The careful tracking of the lunar standstill would have provided more than just a calendar. It offered a powerful predictive tool. By understanding this cycle, the people of Callanish could anticipate lunar eclipses, events when the familiar moon would turn a deep, ominous red, seemingly consumed by shadow. The ability to foresee such a dramatic celestial event would have granted immense spiritual authority to those who held the knowledge. The site itself, with its cross-like shape pointing to the cardinal directions, suggests it was a place of profound ceremony, likely tied to themes of fertility, the honoring of ancestors, and the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth that the moon so perfectly mirrors. How did these early builders encode such a complex, long-term rhythm into their landscape? The Callanish stones are a silent testament to a culture that looked past the daily journey of the sun to commune with the deeper, more mysterious pulse of the moon, integrating its luminous, cyclical nature into the very heart of their spiritual world. Massive stone wheels, each intricately carved, stand frozen in time along the base of a temple that was never meant to move. At Konark, a sacred chariot for the sun god Surya was built in the 13th century, an architectural marvel dedicated entirely to the sun's daily journey. The entire structure, from its colossal wheels to its towering spires, is a perfect alignment of faith and astronomy. Its main entrance faces due east, positioned with such exactitude that on the spring and autumn equinoxes, the first rays of the rising sun flood directly through the doorway, illuminating the inner sanctum in a blaze of golden light. This was not a subtle effect. It was a dramatic public declaration of the sun's power, a yearly event that reaffirmed the cosmic order. each of the 24 wheels is more than mere decoration. They are a functional, symbolic clock with the 8 major spokes representing the 3-hour periods of the ancient Hindu day. As the sun traveled across the sky, the temple's own elaborate architecture cast shifting patterns of light and shadow across these wheels and the temple walls, creating a public timepiece that marked the passing hours for everyone to see. This alignment served a deeply practical purpose, guiding the timing of daily rituals and prayers, while also signaling the optimal periods for planting and harvesting in an agricultural society. The temple was a living calendar, a celestial machine carved from stone that connected the rhythm of human life directly to the path of the sun. How did the builders of this medieval era achieve such a flawless orientation? It reflects a sophisticated school of architectural science, where the placement of every stone was calculated to honor the sun's life-giving energy. This was more than a place of worship. It was a grand statement of understanding, a civilization's way of building its gratitude to the cosmos directly into the landscape, ensuring that every sunrise would be a celebration of the light that sustains all life. The Caracol Tower spirals upward from the Yucatan jungle, a stone snail shell defying the rectangular architecture around it. This unique circular observatory, built by the Maya around 900 CE, holds its gaze fixed not on the sun, but on a single, brilliant point of light, the planet Venus. Its narrow, strategically placed windows and doorways were not arbitrary openings. They were precision-sighting tubes, carved from stone to frame the extreme rising and setting points of Venus on the horizon. For the Maya, Venus was far more than a beautiful evening star. It was the celestial embodiment of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god, and its movements dictated the rhythm of war and peace. The planet follows a complex 584-day cycle, alternating between its appearances as the morning star and the evening star. The Maya tracked this cycle with an accuracy that rivals modern calculations, recording its phases in their intricate calendar systems. When Venus reappeared as the morning star after a period of invisibility, its rising was not a cause for celebration but a signal. This was the time to prepare for conflict, to launch raids, and to schedule the coronations of kings, ensuring their rule began under a celestial sign of power and authority. The caracol was the instrument that made this possible. A priest astronomer standing within its round chamber could watch the sky and know the precise moment to advise the ruler, turning celestial observation into statecraft. This was astronomy with immediate, real-world consequences, where the dance of a planet could determine the fate of cities and the lives of thousands. Why would a civilization invest such effort in tracking a single planet? It reveals a worldview where the cosmos was an active, living force, and humanity's role was to synchronize its actions with this divine clockwork. The caracol stands as a specialized monument to this belief, a testament to a culture that built not just for the sun or the moon, but for the wandering stars, forever weaving the planets into the fabric of their history and their understanding of time itself. A profound truth echoes across these ancient stones, a pattern that transcends geography and time itself. From the jungles of the Yucatan to the plains of Wyoming, cultures that never met, that rose and fell thousands of years apart, all looked up at the same starry sky and felt the same compelling need to build their understanding into the earth. They encoded solstices and equinoxes, tracked the moon's long dance, and mapped constellations onto their holiest ground. This is not a series of isolated coincidences. It is a global phenomenon, a chorus of human ingenuity singing the same celestial song. What does this universal impulse tell us about ourselves? It suggests a deep, perhaps innate, human drive to find our place in the cosmos, to seek order in the heavens and reflect it back in our greatest creations. Some researchers propose this points to a shared foundational knowledge, a science of the sky that was discovered in prehistory and carried by early human migrations, slowly diverging as cultures settled across the globe. Others see it as the brilliant, independent result of countless generations of careful observation, where priest astronomers in every land patiently watched the sky, passing their findings down through oral traditions until they could be set in stone. The sheer consistency of their achievements, however, is what truly gives us pause. These builders worked with a precision that we, with all our technology, struggle to replicate. They understood celestial cycles that take lifetimes, even centuries, to complete. This collective genius challenges the very way we view human history, inviting us to reconsider a linear narrative of progress. It asks us to humbly acknowledge that our ancestors may have possessed a different kind of knowledge, one that was deeply intuitive, spiritually resonant, and seamlessly woven into the fabric of their existence. Their legacy is not merely one of mysterious alignments, but a timeless invitation to look up and remember our own connection to the vast, ordered beauty above. From the silent stones of Kallanish to the solar chariot of Konark, a single thread of celestial wisdom connects every culture we have explored. These 25 unexplained alignments form a global testament to a forgotten age of genius, where humanity's first great monuments were not merely buildings, but conversations with the cosmos. Our journey reveals that ancient people from every corner of the earth shared a common goal: to build their understanding of the sun, the moon, and the stars directly into the landscape. They transformed practical needs for calendars and agriculture into profound spiritual statements, crafting eternal stone clocks that track the grand cycles of time itself. This was a deep, intuitive science born from countless generations of patient observation, where the rhythm of the heavens dictated the pulse of human life. The precision of their work challenges our modern assumptions,